Yes, so there's this other resource which is actually called Navigation Drawer. Though we would have actually designed a new one, but for the sake of this particular training session, we would make do with this. Let me just try to move it here. So Navigation Drawer is actually a particular user interface always to the left hand side of your screen. I know you must have seen something like this whereby when you either click on the menu it brings it out, or maybe sometimes even when you kind of like just try to slide to the left, like when you slide the invisible part to the left, it actually shows this sometimes. So you must have seen something like this before, whereby is that when you click on this particular button here, which is I think is this button here, which is actually menu, it brings it out. And sometimes when you also slide, it brings it out. I don't know if you've noticed it before on your Android device. So this navigation drawer, we might just try to adjust it a bit, or we can still make do with what we have here now. But I'll just have to change the color in such a way that it correlates with this particular thing here. So this particular green here now is called Navcast, while this one to the top of it is called Nav8. So I would be needing just the backgrounds. So let me just try to copy this out here. Then I delete every other element on it. Element like I delete this, I delete this, I delete this particular element. So I delete the number of things there so that I will be able to have access to just the. So I delete this vector, I delete the camera. So I delete virtually everything here except the background. So let me delete everything so that I'll be left to just. So we have Nav8 and what Navcast basically. Now, but I want to conform it to this particular color here. So I just come here. So I just try to take note of the let me see the level of visibility is actually 48%. So when I click on this, coming here, I will ensure that I maintain 48%. So I just try to come in. So I just type 48% here, so that if you have some level of transparency, that's the transparency level, so forth. Now, looking at this particular element here now, I come here, I can just select this, then this other one, I can change it to this other color as well. So I have something like this. So I have to just do a complete match, so to say. So I have this. Now, so for my Figma, I have every of the bits I want to actually export for the new project, except one. Now that one will be created more or less like an animation. It's called splash screen. Yeah, so meanwhile, so we have 8 here and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, sorry, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 in number now. So I just need to export this particular 8 elements. I export it so you can see plus the 2 logos. Yes, the one of the logo is actually called IC Launcher. The other one is called logo. The IC Launcher is what would show on your app as the icon. While the logo, you want to present some kinds of documents and the logo of the app has to show or what have you. So that's when it shows that baby now. So you have exports 8 layers. You go export into the file of this particular entity. So now, so I have 8 of those elements in here. So that means we've been able to have a UI clone, which was the task that went during time. So prior app manifest, because this app, I explained why you have to do prior app manifest, because you don't want to go through this stress of having to clone again. So you need to back up what used to be there before. Now, what are you meant to back up? Because this particular element you've actually exported, you're meant to port it into your app. So I try to go to Android Studio. Then, so this is an example of, let me say, some of the things you have to change. So I can just go to Reveal in Finder. So you that you're using Windows, it tell you, okay, show in Explorer. So I need to actually change some stuff. I need to change slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. So you can actually hold them on here. I've selected 4 items to be replaced. So I've actually selected slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. Splash is actually the animated logo. Then animation of what the app actually does. It might be some banks use their logo, some persons use, like, let me say what the app does, maybe like a cartoonish. So it's just something to actually just engage the user while the app loads at different points in time when it's been launched. Yes, so you have slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. So I go to search icon as well. I try to kind of like change it out. So 5 items selected. Then I move on to nav air and nav cast, which were the things that actually. So I come to nav air, nav air and nav cast. Then I go to logo. Logo is actually L logo. Then I move on to the last one, which is actually IC launcher, which is actually the icon that will be represented on the app. So I just try to click on this IC launcher. I select it. So this element, I'll then try to copy them. So I just try to copy. Then I create a particular folder, maybe on my Elite page section. So I call it Livicon because that was a prior app. That was basically a backup of prior app manifest. So I call it Livicon. So I try to just paste it here. Paste 9 items. So I've actually pasted these 9 items now. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I go to Jingle View. Those 9 items are actually pasted. I'm going to now replace them. Now, but here I have it with me. So I'll just try to copy it. So I'll go to where I located those items from. I'll then say, okay, now they are actually under my drawable. So I just come to this drawable now. The next thing is, so I don't need to select any of that. I just say, okay, replace. I'll just try to say paste. So what I might just want to do is just say, okay, paste. I just try to click on this and I say, okay, paste 8 items. Please tell me, do I want to replace these 8 items? I'll tell you that, okay, you should replace. Apply to, although on Windows it might show you different things. I just need to replace. So it's replacing all those 8 items. So by the time you see now, my lecture has changed and some other element has actually changed. So by the time I come in here to my Android Studio, you'll definitely notice that there's going to be a change of, let me see, of what the interface is meant to look like. So you see that it has actually changed to this. Now the next thing I might want to do, so that's the first step. The second step is to download google.json file, which was what I downloaded the other time from this particular place. I downloaded it the other time from Slack. So it will be gotten from Slack. So I downloaded, this was it. So then I actually pasted it inside my bin. So I renamed it. So I just try to locate this particular entity now. So I think I actually pasted it in. Now, mind you, when you're trying to kind of like question all these stuffs, these entities, you're going to call them, okay, so there are some other entities you need to actually back up, which I didn't really talk about. Number 2 is actually, so let me just try to see if I can actually, okay, so let me go to Elite. So now, scrolls. So, we've not really still backed up everything here. So this guy is here. I'll just try to click the folder in here. I'll call the folder, I'll call it res, that's resource. Now this resource, inside this resource, I'll create another folder. I'll call it drawable. So I just try to say, okay, so I can just come and I can say new folder. I'll call it drawable. Now these entities here, I'm going to move them into my drawable. Okay, let me move them into my res first. So I move them into my res, into my resource file. From resource file, I'll move them into my drawable. So currently they'll definitely be inside my drawable. So this is the order it needs to follow actually for easy archiving. The next thing is I'll then create another folder. I'll call this other one okay, so I just need to add two more things. But looking at this particular entity here, I actually tag them as profile because there are still let me see some other entities that are actually getting here. So I just try to call. So the order is such that okay, I just come and I say okay, profile. Let me just call it profile. So that was why I said okay, Pio app manifest. Now I move this resource into this profile. So now here is it now. Here is the tree diagram. You create a folder since we're working on Elite page for schools. So under schools, you have the different schools. You create it. Now, first thing first, you create is actually profile. From profile, you actually create what you call resource. Now, looking at this particular app, there is a particular unique color code, just the way you have Facebook. Facebook has this unique blue. WhatsApp has this kind of unique green. So every app has a particular, let me say, color theme. So we might actually want to go on back to Figma to actually just try to define the color theme of this particular entity here. So you don't need to really export that actually. So I just come here. Now, but before I do that, since I'm still doing Pio app backup manifest, I come to project, then I try to kind of like click on I come to resource. So I need to go to values, then I try to kind of like back up my colors and strings. When I come to colors, then I click on string. So I just try to copy these two entities. I say copy, then I go to my resource. Okay, so I try to go to my resource. My color and string should be under resource, but okay, so I just try to paste two items here. So these items are actually pasted already. Please don't cut, it has to be copy. Now the next thing is so I'm done with my resource. Now I have drawable and these two entities. Inside my drawable I have all these items. So I'm done with my resource now. So I just try to navigate back to my profile. So under my profile, I'm going to be backing up a particular file, which is actually, it's called unique. So I'm going to locate that. It's actually having to come in here. So I come to my Java, I come to the package, I come to model, then under model I have what I call unique. So I'm going to be backing it up. So I just copy. The next thing is to actually paste in my app profile folder. So I just come in here. So I try to kind of like paste this here, paste item. So it should be under profile, definitely. So I just try to move it into profile. So you have two elements inside profile now: resource, which is a folder, then you have this. Then the last thing I'm going to do is to copy my Google JSON. Though I might actually want to copy two more resources. The next one is to actually go to my my Gradle. So I come to Gradle scripts. Now the one that has app beside it, I just try to kind of like, because they're actually two. You don't not this definitely, but this. Now because of your what's it called? Your own Gradle file is actually 8.0.1, 8.0.2. So so like it gave him a challenge when we were installing, but my own is actually 7.40 because of the time I actually installed my Android Studio. So but I have a fix for it already, so that was why I asked Infinity to actually deploy our own updates, so that is what every other person is going to be cloning. So meanwhile okay, that's just pretty much it. So I have this, so it's this one that you meant to copy. Just try to say okay, you copy it, just a copy. It's actually built upgraded. There's a reason for having to copy it, so I copy. The next thing is I come in here to my folder, so I paste it here as well. Then the last thing I'm going to paste here is actually my Google service file, my Google service JSON file. So I come here. Now before I can actually copy that, I have to navigate down here. Then I navigate to projects. So I then try to expand it. So under my app, there's a particular Google service file there. So I just go Google service, I copy it, then I try to kind of like, let me see, paste it in here. I paste it in here. paste item. So I've pasted it. So in this descending order, I might want to kind of like start white labeling. So that means considering my flowchart diagram, I have actually achieved up to this point, up to this Power App manifest. Now the next phase is actually app profiling.